So before starting the concept of Spring Boot, guys, you can unmute and speak. Before Spring Boot, how we used to work? Anyone? What are the problems we are having? You can unmute and speak, or else you can respond in chat box now. Everybody can respond in chat box. Quick, guys. Should not waste time. Lot of things we need to discuss. Before Spring Boot, how we used to work, what are the problems we are having, why we need to go for Spring Boot, what is the purpose? Yeah, you can respond in chat box, or else you can unmute and speak. It should be a two-way communication. Auto-wide we are going to use in Spring Boot also, right? Generally, even when I learn something or when I teach something, okay, first I'll explain the problems of existing technologies, then why we are going for new one. This is what the process I generally follow. Getting my point? Okay. So before Spring Boot, we used to work with Spring Framework and XML configurations. I mean, completely manual configurations now. Yes, correct. Whatever Pramod and Naresh they are saying, that is exactly correct. Okay. So before Spring Boot, we used to work with Spring Framework. Basically, we used to work with Spring Framework and XML configurations. We used to work with Spring Framework plus XML configurations. A lot of XML configurations. Okay. That means, for example, if you want to develop any web application, we need to do many things manually. Okay. That is what the point. Right on. Next point. If you and for my sessions, running notes is the most important thing. The reason is I won't be giving much theory, but whatever the points I'm giving, right, that will help you a lot, guys. Okay. So if we want to build a Java web application, okay, we need to do multiple things manually, multiple things, lot of things. Okay, for example, if you're working with Spring MVC, what we need to do, we need to create a project, we need to add the server, we need to add the server to our application. A number of problems we are having in Spring MVC, those things also I'll discuss here. Okay, a lot of problems we used to have. Okay, so before Spring Boot, we used to work with Spring Framework, XML configuration, and one more thing, we create projects. We create projects using Spring IOC, Spring MVC, Hibernate, servlet configuration. Okay, for your understanding purpose, if any, we use it to create. We use it to create projects with what technologies? Basically, Spring IOC, nothing but Spring Core. Spring IOC. IOC stands for inversion of control, or we can call it as core. Next, we have Spring MVC. We used to work with Spring MVC. We used to work with Hibernate framework, or we used to work with servlet configurations. Okay, we used to work with XML configuration file. All these things we are going to perform. Manual dependency setup, manual server deployment. Okay, all these things we are going to perform. Okay, now basically, so what was the process? Okay, we used to create projects by using all these technologies, but what is the process? Anyone? Can anyone tell me what is the process before working with Spring Boot? IOC is there, Spring MVC is there, I agree. But how we are going to work?
Sir,
Go ahead. My question is, see,
uh,
whenever we are learning something, we need to know the process before the technology. What was the process? I told we used to create projects with all these things. What was the process before Spring Boot? We need to create a manual project. We need to create a Maven project manually. We need to create a Maven. Yes or no? Maven project manually. That is the first step. Next, we need to and right, we need to add all the dependencies one by one in pom.xml file. Lot of problems we are having. That is the reason we are going for Spring Boot. Okay, not a single problem. N number of problems resolved by using Spring Boot, REST APIs, microservices, Kafka. Why these things are so popular? We have N number of advantages. Okay, fine. What was the process? We need to create a Maven project manually. We need to add all the dependencies one by one in pom.xml file. Yes or no? Need to add all the dependencies. We need to add all the dependencies one by one in pom.xml. We need to find the correct versions of Spring and Hibernate again. The another problem is what? We need to find the versions for Spring. It is the problem. Okay? Got my point, everybody? Yes, no embedded server. Correct, Naresh. And one more biggest problem. No one said. We need to configure in web.xml file. Yes or no? Problem. Configure web.xml file. We need to define the dispatches or tag. Yes or no? We need to define the dispatcher servlet in web.xml file. We need to map the URLs manually. Map the URLs manually. This is also the problem. Okay. Next. Another biggest problem is what? We need to create a Spring configuration file manually. Create a Spring configuration file manually. Okay. And a lot of bean definitions. Next. Next, what is the problem? Configure the all the things manually. That is the biggest problem. We need to configure the database manually. Data source setup, Hibernate session factory, transfer, lot of things. This is also a problem. Application in external server. Okay. This is what the process. And one properties and environment setup manually. We need to handle the logging properties and environment setup manually. Okay, like log4j, properties file, all these things. Look, this is what the process. Yes or no? Am I correct? Everybody is aware of these problems, right? Yes, we need to add the jar files before Spring MVC. We used to add the jar files. Okay, that is also a biggest issue. Next, what are the problems? Problems before Spring Boot. Problem is too much configuration. Too much Second problem is project setup took a lot of time. Project setup took lot of time. Next, setup itself will take hours or even days. Why? Because developers spend more time on configuration than business logic. Developers spend more time on configuration than business logic. Next important problem is dependency management. You need to understand the problems why we are going for Spring Boot. Dependency management was difficult. Next, what is the problem? Server setup was manual. Server setup was manual. That is also one problem. Please take the running notes, guys. Most important points I'm discussing here. Okay? You know, right? We need to install the Tomcat server separately. We need to deploy the WAR file separately. Lot of issues. Next, lot of boilerplate code. More code we need to write. That is also biggest issue. Lot of boilerplate code. And by using Spring MVC, it is very difficult to work with microservices. Okay? Hard to build the microservices. The reason is creating multiple services with this much configuration was time consuming. Yes or no? This is also a problem. And production ready features are not readily available. Production ready features are not available. Okay. And for example, if you are a fresher, it is impossible to understand all these things. But if you start learning Spring Boot, it is very easy. There is very few steps. Okay. It is not beginner friendly. Next thing, it is not beginner friendly. Okay. I mean, why? Because there is why I'm saying this, why it is not beginner friendly. Why? Because, for example, if you are a fresher, you will get confused with XML files, servlet configuration, bean configuration, server deployment, dependency compatibility. All these things you will be having in issues. Okay. Now, understood the problems? Got my point? Fine. Now, my point why Spring Boot was introduced. Then I'll discuss how to create a Spring Boot application. Very easy things. Why Spring Boot was introduced. Why Spring Boot was introduced. Simple thing, I want to give only one statement here. Spring Boot was introduced to make our Spring development faster, easier, and production ready. Okay? Please go on mute, everybody. Please, Karthik. So, Spring Boot was introduced to make Spring development faster, easier, and production ready. This is what the advantage. Okay. Here, the main goal is the main goal of Spring Boot is the main goal of Spring Boot is instead of spending time on XML server setup, dependency setup, bean auto wiring, instead of performing all these activities, we can directly build APIs and applications. We can directly, this is what the advantage. We can directly build APIs and applications. This is what the advantage of working with Spring Boot. Okay. Just I want to give you only one more point, then directly I'll show you how to create a Spring Boot application, a small thing. Fine. Take one last point. Why? Because straightforward questions also they'll be asking you in Spring Boot. Okay, like what Spring Boot gives. If someone asks you why you have chosen Spring Boot means, what you need to say? Auto configuration, auto configuration, embedded server, starter dependencies, less boilerplate code. Okay, faster development. All these are advantages. Faster development. You'll feel it. Easy microservices development, production ready tools. Okay, this is what the concept of Spring Boot. Take these points. Done. Now I want to show you how to create a Spring Boot application. Yes, Spring Boot makes developers work very easy, correct? Fine. Now basically, we are having multiple ways to create a Spring Boot application, and I personally use the STS, ma. Okay, Spring Tool Suite. I recommend everyone to work with STS, but if you are already habituated with Eclipse or IntelliJ, you can use those things also. Here, I am going to use STS, Spring Tool Suite. Okay, Spring Tool Suite. See here, I will share the link for you to download. Everybody, yeah, if it is required, if you want all the Spring modules, I can discuss. But nowadays, we are not working on Spring, right? Instead of wasting time in Spring framework, let's start on Spring Boot. But particularly, if needed, we can discuss for a couple of days. Okay, that is the thing. We are going to create a Spring Boot application by using Spring Initializer. Correct. Whatever you said, correct. In the meantime, first I'll open STS and I'll show you how to create a Spring Boot application for today. Very easy thing. Just STS. It is just like Eclipse, ma. Okay, I'm opening STS here. Now, just go to Google. Here, create a Spring Boot project by using Spring Initializer. By using this link, we are going to create a project. So basically, in real time, Eclipse is not recommended actually. That is the reason I want to discuss it. But both are same. Everything is same, ma, Naresh. Anyway, you'll observe the difference and I'll explain in Eclipse also. That is not an issue. We need to concentrate in coding part instead of these things. Okay? Both are same. But STS, why I'm discussing is STS specifically the design for Spring Boot applications. That is the reason I want to discuss about STS here. Okay? Fine. Now see here, create a Spring Boot project, Spring Initializer. I want to work with Maven here. I want to work with Maven. Java. Group ID is nothing but your package name. Artifact ID is nothing but your project name. And again, I can remove this com.madhu. I am working with Java 21 version. The same you need to work. But still, if you have Java 8 or Java 11, happily you can use. But if you are installing first time, try to use Java 21. Okay, try to use Java 21. Now, see here, dependencies here only directly we can add. First thing, I want to add web dependency. See, if you add Spring Web dependency, we can develop REST APIs, we can develop the web applications using Spring MVC, and whenever we add Spring Web, automatically Tomcat also we are going to get. Second and very important thing, DevTools. DevTools is the most important dependency in Spring Boot applications. While working with Spring MVC, if you do any modifications, every time we need to restart the server. Every time we need to restart the server. But when we start working with Spring Boot, when we started working with Spring Boot, when we started working with Spring Boot, when we add Spring Boot DevTools, auto deployment will be there. Auto deployment will be there in Spring Boot application. Okay. Now, just click on generate. It will be created. Project is created. How easy it is? See here. Downloads, demo project, WinRAR, extract here. It will be created in the form of zip file. It will be created in the form of what? Zip file. We need to extract it. Okay. So similar to Eclipse, even in Eclipse we can import in the same way. Even in STS, STS is specially designed for the purpose of Spring Boot applications. Okay. Just a project will be downloaded in the form of zip file. Once it is downloaded, we need to extract it. Okay. Now let me open STS. Even in Eclipse also same thing. File, import. What kind of project it is? It is a Maven project, right? It is a Maven project. Existing Maven projects. Existing. Just a second. Okay. Select the project. Extracted one. Select folder. Click on finish. That's it. Very easy, right? We created a project and we imported. As a Maven project, we imported. See, it is import. It is importing. Yes, it will take 1 or 2 minutes. That's it. It is importing. Just it is a matter of 1 or 2 minutes, ma. Once this import is done, I want to show you. See here, it is imported successfully. This is what the structure of Spring Boot application. All our Java files we are going to create under SRC main Java. Okay. Inside this, we are going to create our controller classes, service classes, DAO classes. Entire structure, all our Java files we are going to create here. Under SRC main resources, you will be having application.properties file. Here we are going to define application.properties file. Okay, here our server port number, our database properties, all these things we are going to define in the application.properties file. Okay, now most important thing is how we are going to execute. For example, if you are working with Eclipse IDE, we need to run as a Java application. Run as, we have two ways. If you're working with STS, directly you can run as Spring Boot application. But if you're working with Eclipse IDE, run as Java application, demo project application. We need to select in console. See here, our application got started. Very easy. On top of it, whatever the functionality you want to perform, you can perform it. Here we are working with STS now. Okay, we have to in STS directly we can run as a Spring Boot application. But if you are already habituated with Eclipse IDE, right? Run as Java application. By default, you'll get this class name, right? You cannot select. You can select this one. I mean, our Spring Boot application execution starts from main method. It behaves like a normal standalone application. That is what the advantage of working with Spring Boot. Got my point? Understood? Is it easy or not? If you are good with this, if you are able to create a Spring Boot application, on top of it, tomorrow I want to discuss about some REST APIs. Is it clear, everybody? Fine. So what you need to do is today just create one Spring Boot application and try to import it. Even they'll be sharing the recordings with you. Okay, so that you'll get some idea. On top of it, tomorrow I want to discuss about how we are going to work with REST APIs. Okay, like actual concepts, data JPA, and all those things. I'll be discussing from Monday onwards. Any questions, team? Completely practical approach. Whatever I discuss on daily basis, similar to that, I'll be giving assignments. This is what the approach we are going to follow. Any questions, team? Anyone?
Yes, Madhu, I have one question. So
Yes,
here we are using Maven, right? So instead of that, we can use Gradle as well, right?
we can use Gradle also. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. How to open in browser? By default, it will run in 8080. As of now, I have not given any APIs, right? Localhost column 8080. There are no APIs. That is the reason we are getting like this. But tomorrow, I'll be showing you how we are going to work with REST API. Today, just have some idea and just try to understand how to create a Spring Boot application, how to import into Eclipse or STS, and just start working on these things. Any other questions, team? Anybody?
Yeah, hello, Madhu.
Yeah, Karthik.
Yeah, you can teach all modules of Spring Boot, only with respect to Spring Boot only.
What do you mean? I did not get you.
All modules like core, web, and API like this. All modules you can teach.
Related to Spring Boot, everything I want to discuss. But if
Yeah,
everyone wants Spring, I can discuss. See, I am an expert with 12 years of development experience. Everything
yeah, okay, okay.
as of now in real time, completely we are working with Spring Boot, REST APIs, JPA, microservices, Kafka, security. These things are very important. That is the reason I want to spend more time on these things. But particularly, if you want Spring Core, Spring JDBC, Spring MVC, Spring ORM, as of now, that is not recommended. Share some documents, you can go through it, spend more time in Spring Boot related items. That is what my point.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Thank you.
Simply in application.properties file, by using server.port, we can change it. A lot of things we are going to discuss in the upcoming sessions. Java core, where should I learn? I will let you know, ma. If anyone is not aware of core Java, we will plan differently. Okay, I am planning to start new batch. I will update you. Okay. And one more thing, guys, just communicate with iTask team. This weekend, I am planning to take Java 8 features. Whoever are confirmed, right, that will help you a lot. Can attend those sessions. Java 8 features. Saturday and Sunday, we have morning 2 hours. Okay. Just communicate with the iTask team and please take the Zoom link. Okay. Every week, I am going to discuss one version Java 8, Java 11, Java 17, 21, 25, and 26 also I am going to discuss. You can keep in your resume, that will help you a lot. Okay. Any questions, team? Anyone else? Yes, completely real time. I'll show you some sample documents. Yes, we are completely focusing on backend, but I used to take on React.js, Spring Boot with React.js integration. I'll be discussing. That will help you. Okay. Cloud, I'm going to discuss. Microservices, I'm going to discuss, and I'm going to show you how to deploy in AWS as well. Yes. I'll ask them to create a group. I'll be sharing you the content and all those things, ma. Once everyone is confirmed, I'll be sharing you the course content and all those things. Yes, as a part of front end, I'll be discussing about React.js also. Don't worry about it. Okay. As a part of this batch, I will add React.js also. It will be add advantage for your Java full stack application development. Okay. Design patterns I'll discuss. Solid principles I'm going to discuss. Whatever is required for experienced developers, everything I'm going to discuss. Regarding Jamal, your question, I'll check and I'll let you know. Hosting a VPS server, I can deploy. I'll check and I'll update you, ma. Design patterns, solid principles, agile methodology, everything I'm going to discuss. Don't worry about it. I'll do one thing. I'll be sharing you the course content to the team of iTask. They'll share with you, ma. Okay, don't worry about it. Completely real time. Yes, completely real time and interview preparation. Weekend mocks will be there for sure. Yeah, I'll share one document. they'll be sharing with you soon. Tomorrow, I want to discuss about REST APIs, how we are going to create. Tomorrow also you can join freely. But once confirm with the iTask team, this weekend I'm planning to take Java 8 features, which will be very important from Monday sessions. How we'll be finishing whatever is needed, those things only we are going to discuss. Unnecessary concepts which are outdated, I am not going to discuss. That is the reason we are going to complete in 2 months. We are starting with Spring Boot, right? Spring Boot, REST APIs, Data JPA, microservices. These things we are going to discuss. Servlets, JDBC, JSP, we are not discussing, right? That is the reason. If you practice properly, definitely 2 months, 45 days to 2 months completely. I'll do one thing. I'll prepare one document. I'll be sharing with you. Just go through it. You'll have some better idea and you'll get some confidence. Okay. Fine. I'm stopping now. Just confirm with iTask team. Hibernate, we are not going to discuss. JPA, we will discuss. Hibernate, we are not using nowadays as a part of Spring Boot. Hibernate annotations. We are going to discuss JPA, which will be more. Tomorrow we have session now. Tomorrow join. I'll be discussing about REST APIs. Okay. Some practical implementation I'll be showing you tomorrow. Yeah. So I'll prepare one document. I'll be sharing with the team. Saturday and Sunday we don't have any session. This weekend we don't have, but 2 weekends in a month I used to take. Fine. Yeah. I am going to prepare some document in next 1 hour. I'll be sharing with the team. They'll share with you. And on top of it, once you are confirmed, right, this weekend you'll be having session on Java 8 features morning time. Those sessions are very, very important. Saturday and Sunday, both the days. Not Spring Boot, Java 8 specific things I'm going to discuss. Okay. Yeah. If you are good, I'm stopping now. Let's connect tomorrow, guys. Yeah, I have another meeting in 1 minute. That is the reason. Yes, it's free. Yeah. Thank you all. Let's connect tomorrow, ma.